Welcome to today's Lunchtime Live. I am so excited for the topic of the day, walls and boundaries. We talked a lot last week about those walls that we have up and what those walls are made out of. And this week, I thought it was important that we just take a little time to differentiate the difference between a wall and a boundary. And why do we even need boundaries? And what is happening? What is happening in the dynamic of the people room when you require boundaries from people? How did that even happen? So I'm very excited to talk about this because I know if you can grasp this, if you can see it in the way that I'm trying to explain it to you and you can apply it to your life, it can change everything in your experience. And I don't just say that. That's not just some I'm wishful thinking. I have watched it happen in my own life. Life will start responding to you and what you're doing in your inner work. And that's the whole purpose, right? We want to feel better. We want to learn about our mind. We want to learn how to take care of our mind and heal from all the stuff of the past. But we want to get to a point where we're not only understanding our mind and healing our mind and helping our mind and caring for our mind, but we start to realize just how powerful of a thing it is, just how creative it is, just how much it is controlling, contributing, how much life is responding to what our minds are doing. And if we can get our mind into a healthy state and care for our mind, our outer world, we do that inner work, that outer world starts to respond to what we're doing, and we start to create some amazing things for ourselves instead of dramas and problems and issues and just more things to heal, and we're just in a cycle of one constant problem after the next. We want to first learn how to break that cycle and then step into a place where we've not only broke it and healed from all the pain we've suffered that we've created or we've let into ourselves, but now we are taking a proactive we're taking this mind and we're taking our healthy mind, our well cared for mind, and we're using it. Okay, so we're going to be talking a lot about that today. Let's get into I'm just going to refresh your memory on what a wall is, and then I'm going to refresh your memory or talk to you, teach you about what a boundary is and why those need to come into place. So, a wall. As we discussed, if you missed last week, you can go watch the replay, but we talked about walls. And walls are things that in our people room we kind of put on top of people. And we think we're walling ourselves off, but we're kind of like putting them in a cage. So the wall is kind of around them, right? And when we have walls, which I talked to you about what a wall can be made of, and that was fears, resentments, hatred, things that we just can't let go. We're not done hating yet, and we're so full of, unforgiveness, those kind of things. Let's see, fear, resentment, personal differences, and then shame and guilt. All that kind of unworthiness. I don't deserve your love because of what I've done. All of those thoughts, all of those beliefs turn into walls that we put on top of people. A wall is just formed from a thought. It's very important that you get that. How does that whole process of creating walls even start? It starts with what you are thinking about the person. And in your people room, it's not just people, it's situations, it's your financial state, it's your career, your job, it's your any kind of situation that happens in your life experience exists inside your people room. And the things that you are thinking form those walls around those people, situations, and things. Okay, so we build those walls. Say you've got someone in your people room and they did or said something that you just that inner child of yours just really didn't like, and then maybe it hurt you, or they did something that hurt you, and your child is not finished being upset about that. So when that person pops into your awareness, or you see them, maybe you live with them and they walk into the room, your mind straight away goes into that whole cycle of thought of what they did, what they said, who they are, what they think of you, what you think of them. It goes into that, and it's a messy little, it's not good, it's not productive, and it's not creating good things for you. So all of that energy now goes between you and this person, and it creates a wall. And when you have these thoughts that come between you and it builds these walls, it affects your behavior. This is how it impacts your reality. It affects your behavior. It affects how you act towards them, the things you say towards them, if you open up to them, if you share love with them, it affects your behavior. And so you've got walls, and you've got, maybe it's your walls made of resentment, maybe it's made of shame, maybe it's made of fear that they're going to hurt you, maybe it's made of some personal difference where you can't just agree to disagree and just like let that be okay. Whatever it's made of, it's there, and it's separating you from being able to feel each other, to be able to connect each other, for them to share love with you, and for you to share love with them, for them to feel your love. They can't feel your love because you're probably not even sending it out if you've got all that between you. And you can't feel their love or receive their love because you've got those thoughts blocking it. You've got that wall built around you, and it's creating separation. And what your experience is going to be with these people you're smothering in your fear or your hate or your whatever, what you're going to experience from them is not going to be high quality, and it's going to be drama. If you want more drama in your life, put more of your fears and resentments and hatreds, put those thoughts on top of people. Do that. And I guarantee you what they're going to bring to you is going to be of that quality experience, because that is what you're putting out. That is the only thing that can be sent back. Okay, so that's a wall. All right. Now let's look at a healthy boundary. Why would we even need a healthy boundary? We need a healthy boundary because of what we have created, or what we've let into ourselves out there in that people room by not taking care of those fears. So before I go into a healthy boundary, I want to define it for you. But then I want to go real deep with you and show you just how it happened and why you're having to now put up a boundary, how these people got into your experience, and how we can keep them out, and how we don't have to interact with that ever again. That's not the experience we want to have in our people room. We want a nice, clean, tidy people room, but if we have one, we have to be pumping out all kinds of love thoughts into that people room. Okay, so let's look at why. Let me define a boundary. Okay, let me do that. A boundary is something that let me find my caretaker. Your caretaker, your adult, mature part of your mind that is there to care for your little child part of the mind, okay? It's there, and you may not have known you had one, and so this part is there to calm the fears of this one. When this one starts to say things like, they're so this and they're so that, and they don't love me, and I have to earn their love, or I have to deserve their love, and this part starts to run off, and it starts to make that person its focus, and now it's got all these fears, and now it's dumping all these fears out around people, and now it's building walls made out of fear around the people in its people room. This part, if you didn't know about it, and if you're new to this process, you probably don't know that you're not this. Most people live their life thinking they are this thing that is uncontrolled. They can't control themselves. They have no power over what's going on. They're at the mercy of life. They're having to Sorry. I forgot to put my dog in the other room, so he's going to walk around for a minute. Hopefully he'll go lay down. Maybe. Okay. So, we've got this. Most people think they are this, right? They think they are the child. They think they don't have any control over how they feel, how they act, how they behave at all. And then you start to have some awareness. Maybe it's because you've suffered so much. This thing has caused such a big freaking mess in your people room, so many dramas, so many conflicts, so many arguments, so much discord, so much fear, so much pain, and it finally, you have like this awakening moment, like, wait a minute, this can't be how it is. This can't be what I'm here for. I can't just be here to suffer all the time. Like, surely I'm here to have an enjoyable experience. Surely I'm here to enjoy beauty and have a wonderful life. And I see other people doing it. Like, how are they doing this? Like, how are they getting those things? How are they have a loving relationship? Why can't I? What's wrong with me? You come to that point. You come to that point when you suffer enough, and suffering does serve a purpose, enough pain, and you're like, I gotta find out what's going on here. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, I am supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be the observer, the caretaker, the watcher, the guide, the supporter, the mature presence, the calm presence that says, hey, what's up? Why are you so upset? What's going on with you? How can I help you? But what we do is we actually have this part inside of us, but it can take on a very critical and harsh and hateful voice, and it's not helping this part, it's just making it worse, right? So then we learn how to become this caretaker, and that's what I'm teaching you with the Tidy Mind. I'm teaching you how to step outside first, separate, you're not this, separate and realize, hey, I'm actually supposed to be this guiding presence to care for and to love and to nurture and to talk kind to myself and to say nice things to myself and forgive my mistakes and really take care of this beautiful little mind. Okay? Then you become that, all right? So, okay, now you two are starting to build a relationship. It's starting to trust you. It's not going out here and looking for everybody else to make it feel better. It's not looking for its wife or its husband to say things, do things, love me more, take care of me, make me feel better, ease all of my mental suffering, take care of me. It realizes, oh wait, that wasn't their job. I wasn't supposed to attach to them. I was supposed to be doing this within myself. I was supposed to be caring for myself. All right. So then you two get together and you start to do it, and you start to really nurture this part of you, and trust is building, and you're like, I got this, and this part will have moments where it's upset, and you're learning to say, hey, what's up? Talk to me. Yes, you're right. That didn't feel good. Yes, that's right. What do you want now? Like, what would you like to have? And then this part is leading you to shift your focus, to shift your thoughts off of the pain that it's created out here and onto something better. But this takes a minute for you've come back together now, but it takes a minute for you to clean up all the walls, right? You got a lot of mess out there, like just a field. Your people room is just like a field full of landmines that you can just step on at any moment. That's full of all the stuff you've been dumping into it for years. All those negative thoughts of, I'm not loved, they don't love me, they don't like me, they don't want me, they hate me, they're so mean, they're so controlling, they're so this, they're like all that. Every time you're thinking one of those thoughts, you're planning like all these little landmines in this, just making a big fear field out there. And you go walking around in it one day, and it's gonna come back to you. It's gonna come back to you and bite you because that's what you've sown out there unknowingly. You know, we reap what we sow, but you didn't know you were sowing that. You were just reacting to what you saw. And you were seeing what you saw because you had so much fear inside. So maybe this is you, and before you got this relationship and you started to become this instead of being embodied by this, maybe you were a people pleaser. I promise I'm getting to the boundary part. Maybe you were a people pleaser, and that behavior, remember, all behaviors emerge from a thought or a belief that you have or that you think. And so you're like, okay, well, I gotta earn that love. I'm not loved. They don't love me. So you put that out there, and when that's fear, right? And when you put fear out there in your people room, you open the gates. There is no boundary to protect you. You open the gates for anyone who will bring you that quality of experience to you. Many times, a people pleaser or someone who doesn't think they're loved or thinks they have to earn love or they didn't feel loved as a kid and so they always just feel hungry for that or like they can't get that. Sometimes what they will attract into their life, because it's like the opposite balance end of the spectrum. Life is always trying to find a balance. You'll allow into your circle, into your people room, because there's no boundary. Fear opens you up to all kinds of crazy experiences that you don't want to have and that you'll just have more suffering through, okay? It opens you up, and in steps what we call a narcissist, a bully, a control freak, somebody who's on the exact opposite end of what you are, where you have no confidence in yourself because you think you're not loved, can't be loved, won't find love, and have to earn love. Then here comes someone who has inflated confidence that is also a hurt person. I hate to use the term narcissist because a lot of times people get it in their head, oh, they're a monster, they can't change, they're this, they're that. But I don't want you to take yourself there, because I want to give you your power back. I want to give you a way to change this experience, not feel like you're at the mercy of someone else. Okay, so there you are. You were in fear. You open the doors for anything and everyone to come in and to reside in your people room. Fear opens the door for anything and anyone, any situation, to reside in your people room. You didn't know you were doing it, but you did it, all right? Then that fear built, it trapped everybody in your little fear walls, or if you had an encounter with them, now you're resenting them and hating them, and now you have personal different, like, it's just a big fat mess, okay? So you got the walls up around them, which come from fear. And then, now let's talk about boundary. A boundary comes from love, where a wall comes from fear. It's built out of fear, resentment, personal differences, shame, guilt, all those negative things. Where a boundary, I don't know if you can see that or not, but a boundary is built out of love and wisdom and discernment and saying, what can my mind handle and what can it not? Who builds a wall? The child. Who builds a boundary? Let's see if I can get this right. That's right. The caretaker. The caretaker will come in and build a boundary because of the previous mess that was built when it wasn't around. Okay? It wasn't around to protect you from all the stuff, to say, hey, whoa, let's don't just go into fear. You don't have to be afraid. Come over here and let's focus on what, if you don't like that, let's just look at the things that happen in your outer world as a contrast to say, oh, well, that's something you don't like. Well, let's focus on what you do like. But instead, what this part does, because it didn't have somebody to help it calm down, to help it feel safe, what it does is it makes monsters into people. oh, now they have so much power in your people room because you've given it to them out of your fear. You've made monsters out there. You've made monsters not just of people, but of situations, of your finances, of you've built some monsters. So a boundary comes from when you've got this. You can't have healthy relationship. I mean, healthy boundaries. You can't set healthy boundaries and maintain healthy boundaries if you don't have this caretaker part of you intact. If you don't, go do the Tidy Mind course. Figure out how to get this caretaker there to help you, and it's you, but it's an empowered part of you that you'll need to step into. And only way all you have to do that is just to see this child. I'm getting my child mixed up. To see this child for what it is, okay? To see that it's afraid, and that it didn't have anybody to teach it how to not be afraid of everything. Maybe you don't really have a God room, or maybe you've got one, but you don't know how to trust it. And when the caretaker comes in, it can say, well, come on, let's go to God with this. Let's calm down and let's refocus. Let's don't make a monster out of this person or this situation. Let's refocus and let's create some better things. So that will happen, but you've still got this
Before you clean up the people room with the consistency of staying out of fear, you've already got them out there, right? You've already let that narcissist in. Already let that abuser, that control freak, that person who squashes your confidence, that toxic person, that user, that abuser, that manipulator, they're already in there. You didn't have a boundary, and you had fear running rampant in your people room, and in comes that quality of experience, because that was what you were vibrating at. That's what you allowed in, and here it comes, right? Okay? So then the caretaker says, all right, I'm going to set some, because this has happened, because I love you, and because love sets healthy boundaries, I'm going to monitor you. You're my child, and I'm going to monitor you and see what you can handle and what you can't. And if I see that you being in the presence of this person is too much for you, it's too hard for you, if I see being in this situation is something that makes you spin out of control, spin into fear, create more fear, I'm going to say, that's enough. That's enough. We're going to move out of this situation right now. This is not good for you. You cannot handle it yet. We're still building a relationship. We're as we get stronger, as we get more in our empowerment, as we get more used to more of a habit of focusing on what we want instead of what we don't want, then you would probably be able to handle that. Not that I want you to have those experiences, that I want you to handle that, but you will get stronger. What I don't want you to do is to say, I don't want your caretaker to say, I'm cutting this off right now. I'm separating you from this situation because they're a monster or they're a horrible person. That's not a caretaker being a mature, non-judgmental, unconditionally loving being. That is it slipping down into the same mentality of the child. It has to rise above the situation and say, they're acting out of a cloud of your fear that you've trapped them in, so they can't give you anything but that, right? So your caretaker will set a healthy boundary and say, I don't think you can handle this right now, not because they're a bad person, but because you still have a habit of fear. So I'm going to set a healthy boundary, and I'm going to say, so let's give an example. Say maybe your child's lived in fear. It's opened the door to a bunch of just lower quality behavior from other people, and you have a friend that just uses you, and you know it. Like, you know what they're doing. They are using you, and you're scared. You've got fears out there. You're scared of saying no. You're scared of of them being upset with you. You're scared of them, the consequence. Maybe they'll shut down. They'll start punishing you with their silence. You're afraid. You're in fear. So the caretaker would need to step in and say, you know what, I'm going to take care of you here. I know you're afraid of their reaction to this boundary, but it's very important for you because you can't handle this behavior is actually hurting you instead of helping you. Not that they're a bad person, but I'm going to set a boundary. I'm going to limit that interaction until we get stronger in ourselves, until we clear up our people room, until love steps in. All right, so there's two kind of boundaries that are set. There's one that is set by the caretaker. There's one that is set by love itself. Now, I really like this. I really like this because once you get this relationship right and you two are staying in alignment, which means you're focusing on what you want and not what you don't want. This caretaker, every time it sees the child want to talk negative and put fears and resentments and walls on top of other people with its thoughts, it says, hey, well, wait a minute, let's don't do that. Like, I see that you don't like that contrast of what you just saw, so let's don't focus on them, and let's don't like just pour more fear out there in your people room. Let's go talk about what you want to experience. Hey, let's do that. And your child will be like, yeah, but I want them to change. I want them to give me that. And you're like, well, you know what? Maybe they can once you take your fear off of them, once you take your hate off of them, once you take your personal difference off of them, once you take your shame off of them. Maybe they can. Maybe they'll tag along for the ride, and the universe will use them to deliver the thing that you love, the way you want to be treated, the way you want to be seen, the way you want to have an encounter with. Maybe they can do that once you take your stuff off the top of them. Maybe they can. If they can't, guess what's going to happen? They're going to move out of your people room. I've seen this happen in my own life. Once I stopped making it about that person and taking responsibility and saying this is about me and my fears that I have on top of them, I removed my attention off of them and what they were doing and what they were saying and to what I was thinking about them. And said, you know what? That's not how I want to be treated. So I'm not going to even focus on that person at all. I'm not going to call them names or call them a monster or give them any power of any kind. Your attention, what you give your mental attention to, is power. When people talk about giving your power away, you're saying your happiness depends on other people's behavior. Your thoughts, your power follows your thought. Okay, so if you want to put power into fear out there in a people room, you can. But if you want to put power of love out there in your people room, you can. And when you start pouring love out there and you start sending blessings to those who hate you and persecute you, when you do that, it is so powerful because then love itself creates a boundary. You don't even your caretaker doesn't even have to do it because your mind is here and it's in love and it's in alignment and it's only thinking about what it wants. And anytime anybody who has ever heard it out there in its people room comes into its mental awareness, it says blessings to you, blessings to you, bless you. Even if it sounds sarcastic, it doesn't matter. You are sending blessings their way. And when you do, you're taking all that stuff off the top of them. And you'd be surprised at the behavior changes you notice in the people that you stop giving that negative attention to. You stop putting your fears on top of. You take your hate off at the top of them. They're like able to show you something different than what you've been experiencing if they have it within them. If they don't, they go away. Yes, they go away. And you didn't even have to do anything, didn't have to say anything. That's just like a miracle. It is a miracle when they just go away. Okay? That's what we want. So to recap, a wall is what your inner child creates out of fear. Out of fear and it doesn't feel taken care of, and it's all these negative thoughts, just on top of everything and everyone in your people room. They don't love me. I'm always going to be alone. Nobody's going to ever want to be with me. Blah, 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 blah. You are just asking for them to deliver that proof to you that you are correct. You're asking for it. Then the caretaker has to come in and say, okay, we're going to put up some boundaries because they are showing you some pretty horrible behaviors towards you. But it's because they're underneath this cloud of your stuff. So we're going to take that off. We're going to take the walls off, okay, and see what they do. Let's see how they respond and how they behave to just taking that off. But don't give that too much attention. How I want you to see this is all that matters. This relationship and the God or the universe or the whatever that's there with you. That is your focus. And what this little child wants to experience. You two are going to work together to help this child create and have the best experience ever. And you as a caretaker are going to redirect this child and say, whoa, let's don't be thinking that. Let's don't be dumping that on top. Let's don't be putting that out there in the people room anymore. Every time it has a negative thought about a person, every single time, you're going to redirect it. You're going to say, come back here. Whoa, let's don't give that our time and attention. Let's give our time and attention. How do you want to be treated? A lot of you out there have never even thought that question. You've never even sat down and thought, what? Like, I get a choice of how I want to be. Like, what? Like, I felt like I was just at the mercy of what everybody else was, like everything and everybody else. Do you have a higher power? Do you have a God? Do you have a universal source of your supply? Do you believe in it? Like, do you believe that it wants good things for you? Do you believe that you're here to have a beautiful experience of a physical world where you get to, see the beauty in things, and you get to feel love, and you get to, do you believe that that's what that source wants for you? If you don't, we're going to have to clean up the God room. And I think that that's what our next live session is going to be about. We're going to go get in the God room, because this alignment thing and this tapping into this power of this love is not going to work if you don't have a solid God room. And listen, it's the God of your understanding. I've got my understanding. It works for me. I've sorted it out. And it's a collection of a bunch of different beliefs and a bunch of different religions, and it's a collection of things that feel true to me and that help me feel safe in those moments that I fall back on, that I remember, that I remind myself of in those moments where my child wants to go out into fear. That's what faith is about. Like, that's what the whole point of it is, to have that feeling of safety that something bigger, something else is going on than you're just planted in life and you're just at the mercy of whatever is happening to you. Okay? I don't believe that. I choose not to believe that, and because I choose not to believe that and practice something else, I've actually seen the proof of my belief. And guess what? Whatever your belief is, you will see the proof of it. That's how what I'm explaining to you right now, that's how that works. Because that is how creative your mind is. So we want a powerful belief that supports, where you get to have a beautiful experience. Why would you believe anything less than that? Why would you offer up any quality less than that? Let's don't, okay? So I'm giving you the blueprint here. I'm telling you about walls. I'm telling you about boundaries. Hey, if you've been living a life of fear and you've got some pretty toxic people that fear has allowed into your people room, let your caretaker set some healthy boundaries. That's not okay. That's just like you wouldn't let your child go over to someone's house that you knew was going to be mean to them and abuse them and take advantage of them and manipulate them. You wouldn't let that happen, because that's not okay. That is just not okay. And then once you you protect the child, but then the second part of that is you're going to help them pump love out now. No more fear. We're not going to I'm going to help you stay not afraid. I'm going to help you stay feeling safe. And I'm going to help you be thinking thoughts of love, not just and blessings, not just towards other people, but towards your life experience and what you want to have and what you want to enjoy in life. We're going to put our focus and our power and our attention towards that. And as we do that, you're going to notice, hey, some of these people are going away and they're dropping like flies. Like they just sent me an email and said, I can't. They came up with some weird excuse where they can't talk to me anymore. Well, hallelujah. Like I didn't even have to do anything. And then this person moves off, and then that neighbor leaves. And then one of your friends, or maybe your spouse or your husband, suddenly has a change in behavior, and you're like, what the heck is happening here? Like, how is this even happening? It's happening. Your people room is responding to you. It is responding to what you have done in your inner world, and it is amazing. And then love, the second part of that is once the caretaker sets the boundary, or love sets an automatic boundary. If you can stay consistently in that sending blessings to other people, not putting fear or resentment or hate or unforgiveness or personal differences on top of people, don't put your crap on top of people anymore. If you can consistently do that, then love is going to set up an automatic boundary for you. Nothing but high quality people can now enter in to your people room, to your life experience. Nothing but a high quality job, nothing but a high quality income, nothing but high quality. Love is high quality. Fear is low quality. Fear will let anything and anybody in. Like fear doesn't care. Like, come on in. You know what? You can't make it worse. Like, come on in, join the party. It's crazy chaos up in here. But come on in. Like, let's see what you can destroy. Let's see what damage you can do. Stop it. Like, we got to let love put up a boundary in our people room, and it will automatically, and the caretaker won't have to step in. But at first, it will. At first, you are going to have to set some healthy boundaries because you've been dumping out some pretty toxic thoughts probably about some people. And that's play. That's not for you to then put shame on yourself or to anything like that. And some of you may be like feeling a lot of resistance to what I'm saying, as in, why are you blaming this? Why are you blaming how I've been treated on me? And I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I'm trying to help you see a perspective that will empower you to change it. Because if you can't see what I'm telling you, you're just at the mercy of that other person. And you're going to continue to suffer it. But if I can help you see this, then you have the power to change it. That is it. I hope you join me next time. We're going to be talking about the God Room. It is going to be a pre-recorded lesson, session, whatever you want to call it, because it is Christmas next Friday. Merry Christmas. And then the next week will also be pre-recorded, and that's going to be on New Year's Day. So just happened those Fridays worked out on those holidays. So I'm not going to be live, but you will get a video on those 2 Fridays because I love you all, and I really want to give you this information so that you can help make your lives better, make your experience better, to love better, and to feel more love. Y'all join me again next Friday, and we will go into that God Room. Bye.